Hello everyone, you're watching AMN Plus. This is our special occasion program in connection of Ethiopian Christmas. I'm joined by our African brothers from different countries here. I'm Jonas Asos with my colleague Afwork Wubatu.
Dear viewers, our program followers, I first of all said that happy Ethiopian Christmas and Christmas all over the world, people, because we are celebrating the Ethiopian Christmas. So Christmas is celebrated elsewhere in the world, and we are here with our African brothers. We're really happy to get them here, and we'll have a very good time and stay with us together.
Well, everyone, I am really grateful to you for coming here to our show. Would you mind telling us your name and what country you came from? Let's start with this guy.
Okay, thank you. My name is Alex Maharaja, and I'm a Pan-Africanist and the founder of African Act Now.
Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Fikru Tirune. I'm half Ethiopian, half Uzbek, but I'm currently living in Switzerland and working there as an engineer.
Hello everyone, my name is Joel Obatan. I'm from Uganda and I'm a content creator. I create content mostly on YouTube. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I really thank you, by the way, again for your time here, just to celebrate this Ethiopian occasion, Ethiopian Christmas. I think you know the day is a little different from the day of the Gregorian calendar, when the foreigners or the people out of Ethiopia celebrate the Gena. It's quite different from Ethiopian style. So I think you've lived here for some time in Addis Ababa. So I would like you to tell us your impression about Addis Ababa, the people, the residents, and the hospitality, and what's unique for you when you think of Addis Ababa. I have seen a lot of videos on your YouTube channel about Addis Ababa. You toured Addis Ababa and you talked about your impression. So I think you're going to tell us more about Addis Ababa. Yeah, we expect more.
Wow. So my first impression of Addis Ababa is one, beautiful. Beautiful in a way that when you're standing, when you go in the hills, for example, in Toto Hill, and you see the view of Addis Ababa, it's really impressive. So Addis Ababa is a very beautiful city and full of life. What I mean by full of life is when you go to every part of the city, you find parks, of which parks are covered or surrounded with many trees, where you breathe in organic air. And then also the tall buildings that are proud, you know, the tall skyscrapers, the tall buildings, and you're in a city and you be proud of being an African. Like, it's a very, a city with magnificent buildings, and also the people are welcoming. You go to every place, and if you find some people who don't understand the language, at least they will figure a way of helping you out. The people are welcoming, I would say.
Addis Ababa has its own goals, by the way, just to be a city that is convenient for raising children. It is the goal of Addis Ababa city. I think other cities in the continent Africa have their own goals to achieve. So Fikru, what's your impression about it?
So my impression is rather fresh. I've been traveling through different countries, but it is also marked by this traveling experience. So I've started in Zambia, have been in Tanzania, have been in Kenya. So just recently I've come to Addis, but from the first moment on, I could second what Joel was saying. So on one hand, this city is very modern, very developed. You see the skyline. I haven't seen any such skyline in any of the other places. So I can really see how the city is evolving, developing. I see a lot of constructions of big, tall buildings, but also beautiful green areas, parks everywhere. Probably one of the most beautiful park I've seen so far here around. So and all of this combined in a city that is on one hand very busy, that it is a metropolitan capital, and yet it is calm, as in like peaceful. I think this is also kind of reflected by the people, like the Ethiopian people, just their inner peace, their inner friendliness that you really see on many occasions. So I think it is like a very unique place, like as in like going very far, like being very modern, and yet retaining what you'd see like in small places, like the familiarity, the friendliness, the very gentle vibe in general, I would say. So I'm pretty happy to be here, and the first experiences that I had are very, very positive.
Yeah, that's great. I think, Alex, it has been 10 years since you came to Ethiopia. I think when you arrived at that time and now, just you can compare.
When I came to Ethiopia, Addis Ababa was not like this. It was a beautiful city, but compared to nowadays, you see everywhere there are buildings. You go to Piazza, you go to Megananya, you go to Mexico, you go to Bole, you go to Kazanchist. Everywhere there's buildings which are going up.
Oh, you know the name of the neighborhood is
Yes, of course.
Your family are
Yes.
He knows much more even than that.
Yes.
For sure. I'm here in Addis Ababa, so I have to know what is happening here. So number two, Addis Ababa is the capital city of Africa, not only Ethiopia. So it should be more beautiful and more attractive than that. Because African Union Summit is happening here. Even next year, February, we are going to have a summit here. So it has to be attractive. And I commend the Ethiopian government for this initiative, the project which they are doing. They are doing quite well. It's very impressive. Even when I work myself in Addis, I feel like a sense of belonging, you know. You feel good, you feel like, and the more tourists, they will come and visit Ethiopia because of this initiative. Things which are going on here is not only in Addis. Recently, I was in Hawassa as well. They are doing the same thing, the same project. You go to Dila, you go to Ganamariam, So these projects are ongoing everywhere. So I can say in short that Addis Ababa is very welcoming. People are good. Even food is good. The language and everything is also unique.
That's why the government of Ethiopia and the city administration are exerting their efforts on just boosting the tourist attraction sites in the capital Addis Ababa and in the country, just to attract the visitors, African visitors, and visitors from Europe, Asia, and America.
I'm impressed by the response here, and especially this guy Alex is saying that he's been traveling to many areas of our country, and I was mentioning about food too. Many foreigners often say that the Ethiopian dish, the traditional dishes, are very delicious, and they definitely mention some favorite ones of them. So my question here is related to that, and I'm going to begin with Alex. What's your favorite dish here in Ethiopian context? I mean, if you have been to different areas in our country, or if you have tested, I'm just wondering to know which is your favorite food and your drink.
Well, I cannot say my favorite food because of food tastes good for me, but I will try to tell you. Well, I love what I call it goman basiga.
Goman basiga.
Basiga, that one. It's nice because I also can eat it with ugali. That's goman basiga. I can also with it with the ugali, meaning gonfo. In America, gonfo. So our gonfo with meal, with maize. So I can eat it with that. Gomambaziga, it goes with every, thing. If I cook with ugali, I can eat it with that. Also, my second favorite is like chakala tips. Chakala tips. It's also nice. It's also nice. I also tested what they call it kurs. Kurt.
Raw meat. Do you know kurt, by the way?
Yeah.
You know. You don't know?
Yeah, that one I've tested it. It's nice, you know. So I don't know what to say. Okay, my favorite. I don't drink alcohol. I drink Ethiopian uha.
Okay, so the next is Fugaro.
Okay, so on my hand, drink-wise, it's clear for me, the coffee. There's no question for me. Like, I already drank so many of these coffees here, and they all taste like fabulous. Honestly, I was looking forward to that. But the other thing, of course, food-wise, what I was looking forward was injera and dorowot. I think for me, like the classic. I have rarely tasted like any sauce that was like such well spiced and like has such tender meat, and I could, I think, eat a lot of it like in long time period without getting fed up with it. So I think this is showing like that this food is like really unique and really good.
What coincidence, by the way, just you'll find dorowot and coffee here right now.
I'm blessed, I'm happy. I mean, like, I mentioned like the favorite being dorowot, but all the other sauces, churro and all of it, I mean, they also like have a special place in my heart.
But still, I wanted to ask you a question because you are from the Ethiopian family, right? So you may have background information about how to process coffee. And would you tell them the process of coffee?
Are you asking me what I know? Like, unfortunately, I don't have any coffee plantations nearby of me, so I never was like a close part of it. But I have done quite a few like on my trips experiences with coffee, like seeing how it is like being salvaged and how it is like being processed. And so I am familiar with the Ethiopian roasting and like the Ethiopian coffee ceremonies from back home, but the actually doing of the coffee, I've never done it myself.
Great. Joe, we're here again with you.
The food, yeah, I like tips. It's called tips. It's served in a clay pot and with burning fire. I like that food, and then they serve with injera, some spongy fermented bread. I like it so much.
Kind of pancake. Oh, right. Still, you don't know anything about raw meat, which Alexis says kortwaizo, because we Ethiopians are known for that. If you go to Gurage, if you go to different southern regional areas, you may definitely get that kort is one of the traditional dishes. It's actually delicious, but it's raw meat. And haven't you had any information about that?
I have heard about it, and I think I already tasted it before, but it's something that is not usual for me to eat raw meat. So while being here, I'm looking forward to taking that experience into me, but it's not something I know very well, like eating raw meat.
Alexis is here to guide you just how to make that.
For any guidance, I'm happy for any tips.
Don't worry, I will invite you.
All right.
So also, you're gonna also test with what do you call it, with kocho.
Kocho.
Yeah,
Kocho.
kocho. It's also nice, you know, eating together with that. Have you tasted kocho?
You know all the names of the Ethiopian
everything.
traditional food.
I live in Ethiopia. I live in Ethiopia. I should learn the culture and how they live, the food, everything. Yeah.
Okay, you know, but there are some Ethiopians who don't know that. That's why we're asking you.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a second.
Let's just talk about the Christmas. I think there might be traditions, cultures when the Christmas is marked in various countries. Would you tell us if there is any peculiar things when it's celebrated in the country? Joe, in Uganda, how the people of Uganda celebrate Christmas?
Well, Christmas in Uganda is a time where families get together and also a time for a special meal. What I mean is those are the times, that's the time when people get to wear new shoes, and get together, and people travel from the town area, urban areas, to go to village areas for mass, for like church. Most people prefer to go to their local churches to celebrate Christmas from and share with the local people, the local community. And that's a time where the real character, hospitable character of local Ugandan is derived, like most people are willing to share with one another. Christmas also is celebrated in, we have local drinks. It's called ajono, locally called ajono. where people gather together and then drink, dance the entire. Like actually, Christmas starts from 1st December. That's the time we start preparing for Christmas, buying new clothes. People form associations where they can gather money and then buy a bull, and then slaughter the bull and distribute to each other. I mean, it's a time for a special meal, new clothes, and then also people gather together, elders pass on the knowledge to the young generation about the culture of the way of living, how they used to live, and then also the knowledge and the way of resolving conflicts, because that's a time where people are together.
Alex, Fikru, I will come to you later. Any peculiarity in celebrating Christmas in Burundi?
Well, of course, Christmas is celebrated in my country, even as international, It's not like in Ethiopia where you celebrate Christmas at 7th of January. There we celebrate Christmas, like for instance, we celebrated our Christmas 6 days ago, to the 25th. So there, it's a reminder of Christ when he was born, okay? That's the symbol of Christmas. So it's a time to celebrate with our families, our loved ones, and to go at the beach, to go at the park, and to go and show love to the people that we know, or give back to the poor people. It does not mean that you have to celebrate and eat and enjoy. Also, you should also remember those ones who don't have, because it's about Christ who died for us. It does not mean that we have to celebrate on, today's a Christmas, or let us eat and go out and do this and that. We also should remember to go and pray to God so that God can bless us, so God can give us good life and help each other.
What about the culture of drink of Uganda? It's made from? That you've already told us.
Yeah, it's made from fermented millet flour, and then sometimes it's made out of fermented maize flour, and then it's more like they use local straws, like it's like a pot, then people surround each other to drink it.
I think it's tasty.
Yeah, sure, it's tasty.
As compared to this one?
Yeah, this was more tastier.
You might be drunk later, right? It's somewhat hard, right?
So, Fikru, I don't know whether you're going to tell us Ethiopian or Uzbekistan.
I think I'd rather skip both of them, because currently living in Switzerland, I have more the Western Christmas. So it is, as you would see it like in the movies, like there's many aspects that are coming to it. I'll first start by saying that I think nowadays in the Western world, Christmas is straying a bit further apart from the religious part. It is like the Western world are a community of many different religions, of many different people with different ethnicities, making it complicated like to celebrate one type of Christmas altogether. And yet it is still like a time of like with the loved ones, as you said, and like with the family. So you still want to like have this aspect, but it is not going to be like centered around the religion anymore. So from what I see, like most people just have like a good time with like the close ones, the people that are like valuable to their lives. So this is the first part. Then, of course, it is a very different weather, like in December in the Western communities. So basically, the entire month of December is pretty cold. You need to like pack up, and it gives you like some kind of feeling. There's kind of a vibe. So you have those Christmas markets that are starting 1st of December. So it is actually also like starting the entire month of like Christmas. Where you prepare for like the actual 24th, 25th. And on those Christmas markets, you'll find like the typical Christmas food. So be it like in Luxembourg, they have those potato fryers, or they have like some sausages, some cheese in Switzerland. Cheese is like a big thing of the Swiss tradition, especially in winter. They have like kind of a pot of cheese that you can like dip your cheese in, or small pans where you fry your cheese and eat it together with potatoes. And of course, a big thing. So we're talking about drinks. In those communities, like when it's cold outside, they often have some mulled wine. It is kind of red wine with some spices, with some cinnamon, with some orange. And it is very like popular, especially when you're outside, when you're like gathering around, like let's say some small fires, or on the Christmas markets, you would drink this mulled wine. Some people drink a lot of these mulled wines and then go out also, but it can also just be like 1 or 2 wines just to enjoy like a bit the festivities. So about the Christmas itself, many people already like celebrate on the 24th evening. So Christmas Eve is already like, I think like the time for the close family. And then there's like 25th, 26th, and let's say 27th. If the family is so big that you cannot celebrate with everyone at the same time, or like with the friends also, you separate a bit, and then you have like several like dinners or like occasions to meet all your loved ones. And the traditions there are, in Switzerland at least, as I said, like a lot about the cheese. They have like big meals of different varieties of cheese, and cheese is like a main essence of the celebration there.
We many times watch how the Western celebrate Christmas party on their movies, by the way. But the very difficult thing to know is the traditional parties or the way of celebrating Christmas in every countries, particularly in African countries. That's great. You've told us a lot about how Christmas is celebrated there.
I'm going to ask them another question.
Okay.
I think Alex told that you have already celebrated the Christmas, right? And you too, Joel. But we Ethiopians are left with 60 days to celebrate Christmas. So when you are here in Ethiopia, you are 7 years younger as compared to many African and many other countries globally as well. So what's your reaction to this? I mean, you are younger here, but if you go to your country, you may be older. You too, as well. So the Ethiopian calendar is quite different. What's your reaction to this? I mean, have you heard the information about this calendar difference in Ethiopia, by the way? Let me begin with Joe. Do you know this fact that Ethiopia is different from other countries in calendar?
I feel like, I was surprised, and I feel like it's going to be a good experience for me to have Christmas twice. 25th?
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah,
so tell your friends or your family is there.
I was familiar with this information, and yet I still forgot about it. Because it is very peculiar that this is one of the only countries that is living in a different year. So even growing up with this entire traditions and all, and knowing that New Year is somewhere in September and Christmas is beginning of January, yet when I was around here, I forgot that Christmas was not on the 24th, so I had to change some of my travel plans to make it accordingly so that I have twice the Christmas, which is also kind of nice. Like then I can celebrate once the Christmas in Kenya and the other one like in Ethiopia here. I have not thought a lot about it until I was coming here, and now I'm still wondering how it is not influencing the Ethiopian culture that they are the only ones that are living in 2017. If it is not creating any problematic with the countries nearby and around them. And I'm surprised by now many things are being standardized. So I was wondering if that was something that was going to happen in any time in the future or not, because it is. I can imagine it can be sometimes an inconvenience or some problematic facts if you talk about history, whether it's the Ethiopian calendar or if it's the international calendar.
When you talk about the calendars, something came to my mind. I read some comments from Facebook. Just when Ethiopians celebrated the 2017 New Year's, people usually post Happy New Year 2017. And after reading that, somebody from another country commented there. He said, "What? Oh, poor Ethiopians, they're going to have COVID-19 after 2 years."
Well, at the first, it was surprising, as my brother said that area. As I told you that Ethiopia is unique in everything.
Yeah.
Today we are 31st. So if you tell them you are 22, they will be confused. They will say, "Oh, what is happening there?" So it's meant to be like this, you know. If you see food, if you see people, if you see culture, even the way they wear, you know, there is no disclose. If you go to Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, South Africa, they have similarity, no? There are some similar clothes they wear. But here in Ethiopia, it's totally different. You are in the other world, okay? If you go, for instance, from one region to other region, it's also different. You find different weather, different languages, different food. If you go to Gurage, they welcome you with kocho. If you go to Gojam, I've seen they welcome you with injera and a koro. If you go to Dabrazet, they give you what white areke, you know? Areke, you know? So different places, they have their own way of living. Yeah. Each region you found like, I'm in Ethiopia, but like I'm in the other country, which is good. Diversity. It is very good and rich. So if diversity goes along with unity, it's wonderful.
Western culture, norms and values. For instance, we may take the Christmas tree, which in fact doesn't belong to the Ethiopia, right? All the African countries is simply from the Western countries. But we are taken directly into our country, and if you stay here any longer, you may realize that for Christmas, every cities and towns may be decorated with the Christmas tree. So this is one of the influences made by the Western countries. In this regard, I need your response just to recommend whole Africans and Ethiopians, generally African brothers and sisters, to reserve their culture, norms and values, right? So what's your recommendation? What's your area of talk in this regard?
I did find it quite surprising to find some Christmas tree around here, especially since it is not a native plant. So I think I would say it's kind of nice to have like some similar traditions, but I would say it should not be copying one-to-one, rather than copying, translating into whatever is meaningful here. So let's say like if it was somewhere on the coast, someone should rather like use a palm tree like than a Christmas tree. Some small things like that. It was mentioned that like there's a peculiar culture here. So you have like traditional clothes. So instead of like getting to the Christmas Santa hat and all of it, it should maybe rather translate into the traditional clothes for Christmas, like having like kind of a cooperation or mashup of the culture with something that already exists in the Western culture. So it should not be the same, but like just adapting it to whatever resources are here or whatever culture is already like present. So I think by doing that, you'd have like your unique traditions, your unique festivities, and like the unique vibe also, which other people might be interested in the future also to check out, because they'll be hearing about like the Ethiopian Christmas being celebrated in a very different way, like still kind of in a way that where people are getting together, there's the same thoughts, the same like interests, but just like with very different colors, atmosphere, food anyway, like, and drinks anyway. So try to stick with that, I think, like try to translate instead of like copying one-to-one.
Yeah, that's great. Joe, I think I heard one religion's man saying, we Africans often adopt the Western culture, but we don't adopt the technology, right? We don't take the technology, but we take the culture only, the norms only. So Africans in this regard have their own treasures, the resources, the culture, everything, by the way. These should be aggrandizing to the extent we can be highly proud of our resources. And you are an African, we are Africans too. So African brothers and sisters are watching us. So what will be your response here to this one?
First of all, this will get back to teaching the youth to respect the elders. By so doing that, the elders will pass on the knowledge, the African knowledge, to the youths. And then also, as my brother said, the clothes, the traditional wear, should be highly adopted. And also, how do I say, sharing culture. Like we say as Africans, we don't consider ourselves like with borders. We should consider a borderless Africa, whereby if in Ethiopia, that's a traditional clothes, it should be considered a traditional clothes as other parts of Africa countries. Like we should get one unique traditional African clothes, yes, like to represent Africa. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't consider like Africa with borders. Like we have variations in, you know. So I feel we should share like culture.
This Pan-African is, I think, you are simply trying your best to bring Africans together. In this regard, your role is prominent. But let me listen to your response on that.
Well, even me, I was born seeing that, seeing Christmas tree in our family, how they celebrated. Yeah. I did not know the meaning of Christmas tree. I just a tree where they decorated it. And I said, what the meaning of this? Till today, I have no answers. Just we're celebrating Christmas. Okay, we just join others. So since we were born, we are brainwashed to believe that everything you see is real. So our mothers, our grandmothers, our elders, so they grow up seeing Christmas tree, till today, Christmas tree. So I still wonder what the meaning of Christmas tree. As is a symbol of Christmas, or when Jesus was born, or so. It's totally confusing, but we have to accept it because we grew up seeing that. But for me, in the African perspective, I think we should value our culture. You know, we should not mix religion and culture. You cannot interconnect together because they are totally separate. So we should value our culture first. So for me, the advice I can give is that a Christmas tree, it can be replaced by other things, like traditional clothes, or like here in Ethiopia, I've seen where people, they go and knock someone's door, you know, singing, you know, symbol of celebration, or people they could gather together, like here we are gathering together, a symbol. We don't have to put a tree, you know, like you see how you are wearing a Basha clothes, you know, yeah. I'm wearing an African clothes, you know, we should wear like this in order to represent as a symbol, as a symbol in African perspective. Even other ideas may come.
Don't you have like some specific celebration for Christmas here in Ethiopia that is involving also some sport, like being field hockey, if I don't remember correctly? Gena, exactly, yeah. This is like something very unique, and it should be like kept really alive and even promoted even further, because this is something that I haven't heard of anyone else doing. So those kind of things should like Christmas should like be focused on those celebrations, those like singular specific things.
That's great. Right. That's great. Ghana is peculiar to Ethiopia, right?
For sure. This point is very good. No? Yeah. It's very, very good. So it means Ghana is in Ethiopia. Okay. so everybody
use transit Ghana.
Exactly. Yeah. So people should copy from Ethiopia. So meaning if they copy from Ethiopia, they are copying from our African brother. Yeah. So we all African. So rather than copying that side, we should copy here in Ethiopia. So it will be our African culture. And we should preserve our cultures because things are changing nowadays. People are doing Westerner things, you know, from clothes, from food, music. We should look at Ethiopian music. They have good music. So we should preserve our culture in order to move forward and think critically in an African way, because Africa has everything, all resources, is rich in everything, but the understanding of using that is confusing us. So we must not confuse ourselves. Let's come together and preserve our culture in one.
Africans have a lot of resources and potentials, but also a lot of challenges. So it is up to Africans just to cope with the challenges and to win. Let's wrap up. Do you have any questions?
But I think the coffee process continues, but there should be blessing in between. But after you test that, you should bless the girl here because she's serving us. So
at the end,
at the end, maybe.
The last thing that I want to raise is about Africa and the youth. When we think of the African continent and the technological advancement in the world, it would be very hard for Africans, particularly for the young people of Africa, if they are not equipped with technology. The world is full of competitions.
Yes.
So in this regard, Africans should not be just sitting idle here. They have to work hard. In this regard, what is your take?
Youth in Africa has much to offer. For instance, youth is the engine of our continent. From 1.3 billion people here in Africa, 60% are youth who are representing the whole continent. Below 35, go up. So they are youth. So we need that energy to transform our continent in terms of our technology, we need to empower youth. There's a lot of youth who have power to think, who have manpower, but they lack of backup, they lack of support. So we are appealing to this organization or NGOs, specifically the African organization, which are empowering youth. Even the governments, they should support youth so that they can develop. They have a new ideas. They are youth who are capable of transforming Africa into the modern world we are living in today. So technology is very, very important here in Africa. So when you support youth, I think everything is going to be in the right direction. So with that, the support of youth, we are not going anywhere. So I recommend that the whole African countries should support and focus on youth development. When there is no development in a youth, it means there is no future in our continent.
I would say as a youth, our youths in Africa, we are so skillful. We have skills. But then we need a clear roadmap that calls for government intervention in terms of finance, in terms of grants. Say, for example, in Ethiopia or an African country, the youths form an association or say they are innovating or innovations of this, and then they give them grants to help them build on that dream, and then which will result into employing other youths as well. Basically, I'm saying incentives, government incentives to help the youths in terms of maybe, say, we have engineers or we have researchers. So when the government comes in terms of incentives, for example, grants, say that maybe the best team wins this amount of money that will help them achieve or maybe set up factories, industries, basically giving them a clear roadmap to pursue what they have achieved. Because like how they say, in most African countries, the youths, we went to school, we are graduates, but then we lack opportunities. And which opportunities are supposed to be, because they say government is a big player. Government has the potential to create market for the youths outside the country or within the country. So the youths cannot do it alone. without a proper roadmap, which I call upon the leaders to intervene in, not just looking at the youths, and then also to know that times are changing. Like now, what was relevant behind those days isn't relevant nowadays. And also to bring in leaders who will be exemplary to the youths. Say maybe the leader of the youths is someone who understands the challenges, what the youths are going through at these times. Not someone who understands what the youths were going through those days. Like now they know the challenges the youths are going through in these times. Like someone who understands, like of our age, who knows the challenges the youths are going through.
Personally embrace the idea that, as you said, Joe, the governments in African continent have their own responsibility, and also the young people have also their responsibilities, because they have to build themselves, they have to have the knowledge, they have to have the skills that is required by the market of the international arena. And the governments of the African continent are also responsible for creating opportunities for the youth. And they should come up with educational systems and other systems that can be convenient for the young people to work on it and to create things. And whenever they want to do something, they need to get that opportunities. If they are denied, they can't do anything else. So all have responsibilities in this regard.
My idea might be slightly different. I had my youth in Europe, and it influenced me also quite a bit. So there's one thing where the African nations might have even like an advantage compared to the youth in Europe. So nowadays, everything is at such a fast pace in Europe. There's new things coming up every day, new technologies coming up every day. I am an engineer, and the things that I've studied like in the beginning of my studies are not even up to date anymore, because things have changed, things have evolved. You will go crazy if you will try to keep up with the most modern technologies, so it's whatever AI is going on right now. So maybe it is not even that bad if you don't stay at the front line. It is of course important to follow it, like to be able to compete in those things, but maybe it is nice also to preserve the youth like from this stress that there's going on. So I totally agree that the youth education is a big thing. Like it is shaping like the development of the countries for the next decades. What I notice nowadays in the Western communities is that youth are being like very much drawn to the smartphones, to the social media, to all of that. This, I think, has not reached Africa as much yet. In some places it has, but like not as strongly as it is like in the Western communities. So the attention span, for example, of the youth in those communities has decreased significantly, and it hasn't reached that much here. People still do like their everyday life more. They still go more outside. They still are like more nature bound than it is like over there, where everything is like kind of on the internet and everything is happening on the web. So I think this is something that the African nations can like try to preserve, and it's not too late yet to make sure that the youth are protected from all those algorithms, from all those influences from the big players, and make sure that the youth can like evolve into the same way that we have like grown up.
You know, they themselves are, library, I can say. They are youngsters, but they're giving lessons for the African generation, I can say. Because we are Africans, we are together, and we do hard, again, we work hard just to sustain ourselves to the level the Westerners are now. In this regard, your comments, your suggestions are very important. But the last one is, We definitely, as I said a little earlier, we definitely copy the Westerners only. The last comment here will be the African governments in this regard, just to go through their curriculum, their education capabilities, so that the African generation can utilize its potential according to it has or chance, right?
So I'm afraid we're just running out of time because in the production we might be compelled to cut off if we exceed the time limit.
And even they can say Happy Ethiopian Christmas, right?
Just after that we will say that, yeah?
Oh, right.
Welcome, Gena.
Unity.
Yeah.
One Africa.
And solidarity.
Yeah.
One Africa, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
That's good. It's good. Now,
Made today's celebration here very fantastic. So we definitely thank this hotel.
Alex is good.
This is Ethiopian.
Yeah, nice. It's me.
Okay.